Hey guys, I'm back and this chair is a little bit too rolly. Oh my god, that's why I don't do this. Welcome back to my weird limbo room where am I? Why am I here? Oh yeah, the world is kind of gone crazy and it's not really going well for like anyone. I don't know about you guys, but I'm like in this weird like buzzy middle ground right now where like I feel like every move I make is just like jumping out of my skin because it's like something. I don't know, maybe that's just me. So what I wanted to talk about today is your mental health in all of this quarantine-y business, because I know that everyone's mental health is kind of struggling and it's one of those things that everyone just won't stop talking about. But you guys are like my online therapy session and I just need to like get some of this buzziness out so we can discuss sort of like the types of problems that are unique to quarantine. And we're going to talk about that today, and we're going to pretend that this is a fun conversation to have, because if I try and face the reality of everything, I might just start crying. So we're gonna do that. So the first thing that a lot of us are dealing with right now, and especially if, like me, you've gone to live with your parents while all of this is happening, you're feeling a little bit cooped up. Now, I don't mean that physically. Everyone's feeling a bit cooped up. We're inside in quarantine. Now, let's be fair. I am an introvert. Being forced to stay home is like the least of my worries. Like, I'm good. But there's definitely some weird, dynamics that happen when everyone in your house is really, really stressed out all the time and everyone's worried about, quarantine and the virus and their work and financial worries, and everyone's just in this really, really stressed out situation. So when everyone in your house is sort of at that heightened stress levels, there's a lot of tension that comes out in those dynamics. And if you're like me and you've gone back to live with your parents while this is happening, family can up the ante a lot. One of the things that, like, in addition to these weird family dynamics that I'm dealing with while everyone's just sort of trying to find their own space so we're not at each other's throats all the time, I'm kind of back in a place in a physical place where I never felt good about myself. Back when I lived here, I was, younger. I hadn't figured a lot of myself out yet. And I just never really felt good about myself when I was living here and when I was living in this city and with these surroundings. And, being back here physically is like bringing a lot of that back, and it makes me feel like I'm regressing. And that's really, really stressful because I didn't really like the person I was, and I like the person I am a lot better now. And obviously it's taken a lot of work on my mental health to even be able to admit that I like who I am now. But yeah, sometimes you sit in your room and you see all the things that remind you of times in your life that weren't great, like all of my high school mementos sitting in my closet. Like, I don't know, I decided to go down a nostalgia train once when I was cleaning out my closet, like right when I got home, and I was going through my high school yearbooks because I thought it would be fun to like see what I looked like back then, and everything, like, it was not a happy experience. Like, what am I, a masochist or something? Like, I knew I wasn't gonna have fun doing this, but I decided to do it anyway, and it was exactly as bad as I worried it would be. So I've talked a lot in previous videos, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit today, about identity crises that I've had and trying to figure out who I am and be comfortable in myself. And I feel like I've gotten to a point where if I don't feel good, like if I'm not comfortable in myself entirely, I'm definitely either heading in that direction or have made progress. And now I'm here and I'm seeing all this stuff that reminds me of that person that I was never really comfortable with. And it's just an added element of stress because do you ever like see someone like your old high school bully and you have these like fantasies that when you see your old high school bully, you're going to be like, ha, look at me now, I'm awesome now. But then you talk to them and you find yourself responding to them the same way you used to in high school. It's like your mind just regresses back to being 15 again. I feel like a lot of my reactions to conflict while I'm home, a lot of like sort of the thoughts, like everybody has intrusive thoughts. A lot of the intrusive thoughts I've been having have been, related to the things that I used to think about myself 10 years ago. Those are not fun thoughts to have. So it's definitely an added level of stress to those already tense dynamics. And I feel like I've been talking about this for too long, but you know what I mean? It's just, I needed to get it out there. So the next problem that I've been having, and this is the biggest problem I've been having, and I don't want to make this sound too like privilegey, first world problemsy, because I know that so many people are having so many financial troubles, and I am so lucky to still have my job, and I'm so grateful to still have my job. But one of the things that I've been really struggling with when I've been home is what I'm calling a work balance, but that's not really it. I found that I've learned a lot more about myself since I've had to do this stuff from home, since I'm separated from having to walk into work, walk into uni, and actually physically do these sorts of things, like being separated and only having that work in front of you. I've learned a lot more about myself and the way I work and the way my personality approaches work going forward. One of the things that I have learned about myself, and I've talked a lot about personality theory and how it's helped me, become a lot more accepting of who I am and, learning about those things. But one of the things that I've also had to come to grips with is that I work differently from everyone else. If you've ever studied personality theory, you know that P-types like me work in bursts of energy where, we're not necessarily consistently motivated. And, since I'm an IP, like my external world has to be unstructured so that I can come up with my own structure in my head. And that's something I've known about myself now for a couple of years. And it's really, really helped me, commit to my writing, commit to my PhD. Like my PhD, my organization for my research has gotten so much better since I learned that about myself. And I'm actually really enjoying my PhD, which is not something that I thought I'd be saying. I thought this would be the main point of stress, but it isn't. And one of the things I realized about myself is that I'm not built for the way the world is built. And I'm the sort of person who has a lot of trouble, working in that 9-to-5 structure where you get up, you go to work, you do your job for X amount of hours, you stop, you go home, you sleep, you wake up, rinse and repeat. I'm not built for that. That's why writing and research I've been a lot more successful in that. Like I feel like when I'm doing my PhD, because my writing has been put to the side, I'm going to send some queries out, I think soon, which is extremely nerve-wracking, but not really what I want to talk about right now. But like the point is, I'm not really working on my manuscript at this point, just because I've got other stuff I need to be working on. But when I'm doing my PhD stuff, when I'm writing, when I'm researching, I feel like that's when I'm in my element. I feel so much more comfortable, so much more productive, so much better about the work that I produce when I'm working that way. And that's because I'm letting myself take ample breaks, work stretched out throughout the day, just whenever, like if I need a nap, I'll take a nap. And sometimes I'll start working at 8:30 a.m. and not finish working until 10 p.m. because I've broken it up that amount of time. But I still feel a lot more comfortable about what I've done. I give myself a goal for the day, but I let myself work how I need to work in that space of time. When I first got here, I was on Easter holidays from work, so I was able to just kind of dive into my PhD head first for a while, and it was really nice. But obviously, Easter holidays ended, and I now have that structured working time, that structured working environment. And I found that I'm really, really struggling with it. And I know that this is something that I've struggled with for a long time, because I won't necessarily dislike a job, but still find myself getting so anxious about a job, even when I like it. Like, I like my job. There's nothing wrong with the tasks that I am doing, but when I'm doing them, I still feel that cooped up feeling, that constricted feeling. And I described it to my mom as trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, where I'm the square peg and the structured working life that the world runs on is the round hole, and I'm just not really built that way. And that's a really, really stressful conclusion to come to, because I have no idea how I can take that back with me. And until I can get to the point where my research and my writing is what I can do, where I can make money off of that, I don't know what I'm gonna do, because it's just a stressful thing in my brain. And it's like, wow. So trying to balance, doing my PhD and things that I actually do really like, and doing my job, which I don't dislike, but is causing me so much stress just because I'm trying to shove myself into that structure. It's like my working life, say you have an 8-hour work day. Say you have a standard 9 to 5, 8-hour work day. That's the box. Here's me working and I have to try and shove all of that into that box. And so I end up feeling really squeezed in, and like there's a weight kind of pressing in on me because I can't it's so hard to describe. And it's not necessarily something you notice when so much of your job is customer service, but when it's not, it's which leads me to problem number 3. And this is a problem that I had even before I came here, because like I said, this is something that I struggled with even before quarantine, but the quarantine is now showing me what the actual root of the problem is. I just have no energy. And I feel like this is something that so many of us are dealing with right now. My friend said she read somewhere, and I don't know where she read this, so you'd have to take it up with her even though you don't know who she is. That apparently, because we're all going through this collective stress, we've all gotten to the point where we're just so tired because our brains just can't deal with it anymore. So I know that that's part of it, but I'm just we're all just so tired. This quarantine thing and the virus, and we're just so stressed out and scared for the people that we love and scared for our jobs and our financial future. I'm struggling with energy. And a big part of that is when you're trying to shove that square peg into that round hole, it takes up so much energy. Even when the task you're doing doesn't take any energy, the energy is taken. It's really weird and difficult to describe if you've not experienced it. But the amount of energy it takes to force yourself to work in a constraint that you're just not built to do, the energy of switching your brain around and forcing yourself into a position that you're technically not, it's hard to describe, comfortable with, I guess. It's mental energy that you're taking to do that squeezing and squishing, and that feeling I described, a feeling boxed in and the weight on your chest. You can see how that has a physical effect as well, where everything's just sort of feeling like it's being, squeezed inward and constricting. And that takes a lot of energy. So when I'm done, I'm wiped, absolutely exhausted, even if I've not really done anything that day. And it's now, and that's a normal thing that I have now had happen. And I thought that was, something to do with the fact that I'm being quite open about being depressed and things like that. And my medication does have a side effect of being drowsy. So I just sort of always thought that it was either I go off the medication and feel worse in myself, or stay on the medication, just have less energy. But I've realized since I've been home that it's more than that. And since I've been home as well, I can't even get up the energy to finish watching YouTube videos I have open in tabs on my computer. It's bad. And there's so much that goes into that. Like I said, it's that constricting feeling of work. It's the worrying about everyone and everything. It's, worrying about the response to it and whether or not it's enough. And are you doing enough? Or is other people doing enough that what you're doing will be enough? There's a lot of stress going into this. And then you add on to that the work and the family dynamics that happen when, you're naturally closed up in this space where you're not generally supposed to be closed up. It's exhausting. I'm so tired. I want to take a nap right now. And I just feel incapable of doing anything I want to do. I only get dressed if I'm going to be on camera. And even then, sweatpants. What the fuck? So those are the main things that I feel like I have been experiencing, but there is one more thing I wanted to talk about because I've seen it a lot on Facebook and Twitter, and I've noticed it with myself, and that is body image. I'm home, I'm snacking a lot more, I'm not exercising much because I don't have the energy to do it. And even though I'm not really a stress eater, I do eat when I'm bored. And because I have so little energy, I just feel bored a lot because I don't know what I want to do and I can't get up and do it. And so I've definitely gained weight. Not a lot, not enough for other people to notice, but enough for me to notice. Now, I try so hard to be that person where, you're you don't really care what you look like as long as you're healthy. And I can feel it about other people. Easy to see the beauty in other people. But it's so hard to see that beauty in yourself. When you've had that, skinny is beautiful and you have to have a flat stomach and it's really hard to get that out of your head it's a rough one. And then on top of that, I'm in love with that dog, but I'm so allergic to dogs. So my entire face is, you can't tell because I'm wearing makeup, but It's bright red, and I've got like spots everywhere, and you can see, I promise I'm not gonna flash you guys, you can see these scratches right here. That's from the dog as well, and normally that wouldn't matter, except for whenever the dog's paws come anywhere near me, wherever he touches me becomes inflamed and itchy and eczema-y. That's why you can still see it's so red. Now this right here, that is a scratch, but this was like fully inflamed yesterday and really gross, and that's just another thing I've had to deal with, and it's not a fun time. And I don't know, I just wanted to throw out that like the body image thing is a thing that we're dealing with right now. And it's, you know, when all of this stress that everyone is dealing with is making you so tired and you just don't have the energy to exercise the way you normally do, it's not surprising that so many of us are having body image issues. And I have to assume that it's not just me that's feeling that. When you can see beauty in other people, sometimes it's really hard to see that beauty in yourself. So just know that I see it in you, and that was really cheesy, but I do. You know what I mean. Everybody knows what I mean. I'm trying to keep this upbeat. I don't know. The biggest things that I've been, you know, dealing with is this lack of energy and this stress and just feeling super boxed in. And I feel like that's something a lot of us are feeling right now. And I wish I could say that I have advice, but I don't. I learned so much more about myself being home and being pulled in so many different directions, and I feel like that's a really, really good thing. But I don't know how I can take these things that I've learned about myself back into my normal life when this is all over. And knowing why you're stressed doesn't stop you from being stressed, you know? I'm still having video sessions with my therapist, which is great. I'm really, really lucky to have that. And I've mentioned how I like to go outside every day for a little while, even if it's just to walk the dog. I play with the dog when I'm sad. The inflammation is worth it. It's worth it. I will literally, so Alfie is technically my sister's dog. And so and she works nights. She works nights. So she sleeps a lot during the day. So sometimes when he's up there and I'm just having a rough go of it that day, I will literally walk into her room while she's asleep just to say hi to the dog. Like, it's kind of a mess and it's probably not the greatest thing for me to do, but if I don't wake her up, I don't really care. I love you, Quinn. I wish I had more advice, basically, is what I'm saying, but I definitely don't, because I'm trying to get through this ship just as much as everybody else. And I know there's a lot more to people's family dynamics and financial situations that makes everybody's experience going into this difficult, including for myself. And there are things that I've decided not to put in this video because those are things that I'm just not comfortable talking about. But I guess what I mean to say is everyone's struggling, and I'm not out here saying like, I understand, I know your pain, because I don't. Everybody's stress is different right now. And like I said, there's a lot more to my situation and a lot more to other people's situations that I've just decided I don't feel comfortable talking about in this video. So there's always going to be more underneath the surface. I'm still here to talk if anybody needs it, because I know I definitely need it sometimes. And don't not reach out to people because you don't feel like it. And this is a matter of do what I say, not as I do, because I found myself starting to write out messages to people and then deciding not to because I wouldn't have the energy to respond. If you still can't bring yourself to text people, no one's going to judge you. I feel like that's something a lot of people need to hear right now, because everyone's talking about how make connections, keep connections, but I know how hard it is to do that. And I have so many unread messages on my phone because I just don't have the energy to respond to them. The couple connections that I do still have, that I am still keeping up with, are those things that keep me sane. So even if it's just with your mom like it is with me, or your best friend or your boyfriend, if it's your roommate, like the person you live with, at least having a conversation per day is probably going to be good. Again, you can reach out to me. Might not get back to you immediately because I'm exhausted, but I will get back to you. I'm here to check in on your mental health and to check in with mine, so I can sort of get everything out into the ether, and we can have a conversation about things that we're struggling with. And I feel like we shouldn't have to feel like we need to keep up with our normal lives when life isn't normal. It's okay to take a breath, because God knows I need it. So reach out if you want, or if you need. or don't. But I do hope you enjoyed the video. Glad to see you here, and I hope you're all doing as well as you can be doing. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.